Imagine your country is standing alone. Darkness is falling across the world. An unstoppable enemy is at your door, and everyone expects you to surrender. What do you do? In this moment of ultimate crisis, one man stood up, and his greatest weapon was not a gun, a tank, or a bomb. It was his voice. It was the English language. This is the story of Winston Churchill, the leader who used the power of words to inspire a nation, to fight against tyranny, and to help save the world. Today, his incredible lessons in courage, resilience, and communication are going to be our guide. I'm your host, Scarlett, and welcome to a special episode of Grow English Mastery. Today, we will turn his inspiring life into a practical lesson for your own journey. First, we will explore the key moments that shaped Winston Churchill into one of the greatest leaders in history. Second, we will master 10 essential vocabulary words about leadership, courage, and adversity. And finally, for our language focus, we will review the simple past tense, the essential grammar for telling powerful historical stories. Part 1. The Making of a Leader. Winston Churchill's journey to greatness did not begin with success. In fact, his early life was full of challenges and failures. He was born into a famous and powerful family, but he was not a good student. He performed poorly in many of his classes and did not like the strict rules of his schools. He was often rebellious and had a stubborn personality. Many of his teachers and even his own father worried that he would not amount to much in life. This is our first important lesson. Where you start does not have to determine where you finish. After he finished school, Churchill decided to join the British Army. He was looking for action and adventure, and he found it. As a young soldier and a war journalist, he traveled to places like Cuba, India, and Sudan. These experiences became his real education. He saw the world, he learned about different cultures, and he experienced the true dangers of conflict. One of his most famous early adventures happened in South Africa during the Boer War. He was there as a journalist, but the armored train he was on was attacked. He showed incredible bravery during the fight, helping the wounded soldiers and organizing a defense. However, he was captured by the enemy and became a prisoner of war. For many people, this would be a moment of defeat. For Churchill, it was an opportunity. After several weeks, he made a daring and dramatic escape. He climbed over the wall of the prison at night, navigated through hundreds of miles of enemy territory with very little food or water, and was eventually helped by a British coal miner to get to safety. When he returned to Britain, the story of his incredible escape made him a national hero. This early experience taught him a lesson that would define his entire life. Even in the darkest and most difficult situations, with courage and determination, you can find a path to freedom and victory. Part 2. The Wilderness Years. After his early success, Churchill entered a long and difficult period in his political career. In the 1930s, he was not a part of the British government. His political ideas were unpopular, and many of his colleagues thought he was old and out of touch. These were his wilderness years, a time when he was isolated and his voice was largely ignored. During this time, a new and dangerous threat was rising in Europe. Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party in Germany. Churchill saw the danger very clearly. He read the reports, he studied the situation, and he understood that this was a threat to freedom and peace across the world. While many other leaders in Britain wanted to avoid conflict and hoped for peace, Churchill stood up and spoke the truth. He gave many speeches in the Parliament, warning everyone about the growing danger. He said that they could not ignore the problem. He said that they needed to prepare, to build up their military, and to be strong. Most people did not want to listen. His message was unpopular. It was a message of difficulty and sacrifice, not of peace and ease. But Churchill believed that a leader's job is not to say what is popular, but to say what is true, especially when the truth is difficult. This period teaches us another powerful lesson. You must have the courage to speak your beliefs, even if you are the only one speaking. Part 3. Britain's Darkest Hour. In 1940, the world changed. The war that Churchill had predicted finally came, and it came with terrifying speed and force. The Nazi army invaded and conquered country after country in Europe. In this moment of extreme crisis, Great Britain needed a new leader. They needed someone who understood the danger and had the courage to fight. They chose the one man who had been warning them all along. Winston Churchill. He became Prime Minister in Britain's darkest hour. The situation was almost hopeless. The British Army was trapped on the beaches of Dunkirk in France, nearly destroyed. An invasion of Britain by the enemy seemed not just possible but imminent. The world expected Britain to surrender. It was in this moment that Churchill's true greatness was revealed. He knew that the most important battle was not on the beaches, but in the hearts and minds of the British people. He needed to fight against fear and despair, and his weapon was the English language. He went on the radio and delivered a series of speeches that have become some of the most famous in history. His words were not complicated. He used simple, strong, powerful English that everyone could understand. In his first speech as Prime Minister, he did not promise an easy victory. He promised the opposite. He said, "I have nothing to offer but blood, toil, tears, and sweat." He was honest about the difficult journey ahead. A few weeks later, as the situation at Dunkirk was desperate, he spoke again. He finished his speech with these immortal words: "We shall fight on the beaches. We shall fight on the landing grounds. We shall fight in the fields and in the streets. We shall fight in the hills. We shall never surrender." With these words, he gave the British people a voice for their courage. He turned their fear into defiance. He used the power of language to unite a nation and inspire them to stand alone against a terrible enemy. He taught the world that words are not just for communication. Words can build courage. Words can fight fear. And words can change the course of history. Part 4. Language Focus. Now, let's move to our language focus. First, let's master 10 essential vocabulary words from Winston Churchill's story. Our first word is leadership. Leadership is the ability to lead a group of people or an organization. For example, Winston Churchill showed incredible leadership during World War II. Another example is, she is taking a course to develop her leadership skills. Our second word is speech. A speech is a formal talk that a person gives to an audience. For example, he wrote many inspiring speeches that were broadcast on the radio. Another example is, the president will give a speech tonight. Our third word is resilience. Resilience is the ability to feel happy, strong, or successful again after a difficult situation. For example, Churchill's life was a great example of political and personal resilience. Another example is, building resilience is important for dealing with stress. Next, we have courage. Courage is the ability to do something that frightens you. For example, he had the courage to speak the truth when it was unpopular. Another example is, the soldier received a medal for his courage. Our fifth word is to inspire. To inspire means to make someone feel that they want to do something and that they can do it. For example, his words inspired the nation to keep fighting. Another example is, my goal as a teacher is to inspire my students. The sixth word is adversity. Adversity is a difficult or unpleasant situation. For example, he was a leader who performed best in times of adversity. Another example is, she has overcome a great deal of adversity in her life. Our seventh word is determination. Determination is the quality that makes you continue trying to do something even when it is difficult. For example, with great determination, he escaped from the prisoner of war camp. Another example is, her determination to succeed is admirable. Next, we have legacy. A legacy is something that a person leaves behind to be remembered for after they die. For example, Churchill's legacy is one of courage and defiance in the face of tyranny. Another example is, she hopes to leave behind a legacy of kindness. Our ninth word is strategy. A strategy is a detailed plan for achieving success in a situation like a war, a competition, or a business. For example, the general explained his military strategy to the soldiers. Another example is, our company needs a new marketing strategy. And our final word is victory. Victory is success in winning a war, a competition, or a difficult challenge. For example, he led his country to victory in the war. Another example is, the team celebrated their hard-fought victory. Now, let's look at our grammar focus for today. The simple past tense for historical narratives. When we tell stories about the past, especially historical stories and biographies like Churchill's, the simple past is the most important tense we use. It helps us describe events that started and finished at a specific time in the past. Remember, for regular verbs, we usually add ed. For example, Churchill believed in himself. He delivered many famous speeches. He inspired the British people. And for irregular verbs, the word changes, so we must remember their past forms. For example, he was not a good student. From is. He became prime minister in 1940. From become. He spoke the truth. From speak. He wrote many books. From write. He won the war. From win. Using the simple past tense correctly is the key to telling clear and powerful stories about history and about your own life. Part 5. Practice tips for the 4 skills. Now, how can you practice the lessons from Churchill's life? For listening, find an original recording of one of Winston Churchill's speeches on YouTube. Don't worry about understanding every single word. Just close your eyes and listen to the music of his voice. Listen to his rhythm, his pauses, and the strength and determination in his tone. For speaking, choose one powerful quote from Churchill, like, "Never, never, never give up." Go to your AI tutor and use the voice feature. Record yourself saying that quote. Try to say it with the same strength and conviction in your own voice. For reading, find a short, simple online biography of another famous leader, like Abraham Lincoln or Nelson Mandela. As you read about their life, use a highlighter to mark all the past simple verbs the author uses to tell their story. And for writing, use your journal to write a short paragraph about a time you faced a small challenge and did not give up. It could be a difficult exam or a personal problem. Use the simple past tense to tell your short story of resilience. Part 6. Your next action. Winston Churchill's life is a powerful lesson. It teaches us about resilience in the face of failure, about the courage to speak the truth, and about the incredible power of language to shape our world. He showed us that words are not just for communication. Words can be weapons for good. They can build courage. They can fight fear. And they can unite millions of people behind a common cause. Your own English voice is a powerful tool. Use it to share your ideas, to encourage others, and to be a force for good in your own life and community. As we conclude, let's quickly summarize the key takeaways. First, we learned the inspiring story of how Winston Churchill's resilience and determination prepared him to lead during Britain's darkest hour. Second, we learned how he used simple, powerful words to inspire a nation and fight for victory. And finally, we reviewed how to use the simple past tense to tell great historical stories. We also learned 10 essential vocabulary words. As a review, those words were leadership, speech, resilience, courage, to inspire, adversity, determination, legacy, strategy, and victory. I hope this lesson has inspired you. Which of Winston Churchill's qualities do you admire the most? Please share your answer in the comments section below. If you are committed to making this mindset a part of your life, show your energy by smashing that like button. Be a hero for a friend by sharing this video with someone who needs a story of courage today. And to lock in your commitment to learning, subscribe and smash that notification bell so you don't miss our next workout. Remember Churchill's most famous advice: never, never, never give up. Until next time, take care and happy learning.